Copyright 1987 by the SubGenius Foundation and the participants.
Bob loves you. 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 Bob loves you.
Format 6Z subliminaloid hypnopodiatry version. Start level 3 trance learning state on tone.
Bob?
The message is now part of and registered in your subconscious mind. Every time you say, see, hear, or think,
Bob?
that's your key phrase. It will trigger the entire message without your being aware of it. It will signal your subconscious mind, flashing a message.
Attitude correct. Oh.
The subconscious will listen and absorb this message.
Exactly.
Sex, money, Bob. Sex, money, Bob.
What time is it?
Praise Bob. The fates have brought you into possession of a SubGenius instructional video barrage tape. Prepare yourself. You are about to be remade into a new being through forbidden knowledge previously kept secret for centuries by the jealous priesthoods of many religions. Caution. Improper viewing techniques may lead in some persons to dependency, seizures, cranial fits, priapic conditions, micturition, sternutation, subtle glandular mutations, and in some territories, legal arrest. However, if the viewer follows instructions and trusts completely in Bob, this tape can produce an unsurpassable beatific experience that can last for hours, days, weeks, possibly even centuries. This videotape bears a patented Dobbs-Drome PowerShell time code, which may cause some home video decks to react unpredictably. Although only a small percentage of playback systems or their owners have suffered permanent damage from this signal, the SubGenius Foundation Incorporated is not responsible for injuries or damages inflicted by paranormal events during tape play mode. The tape also contains a subliminal hypnopediatrics trance-inducement tone, operating beyond the range of human perception. However, pets in the viewing room may exhibit unusual behavior, as may small children and certain less evolved adults. If such behavior anomalies last more than 2 days after viewing, consult a physician. However, this brainwave enfolding signal is generally harmless and should actually enhance your learning abilities during the program. Special interactive holosonic stereo effects produced on the Ultimate Cerebral Sync Lock Interocitor are designed to trigger stem cleavage or brain division between the forebrain and hindbrain. Using newly discovered break-thinking principles, the viewer's brainwaves are locked into synchronization with the tape's underlying suggestions by means of neuroelectric pulses. Plant growth and gas mileage of nearby automobiles may be affected. For the unworthy, this tape may be a one-way ticket down a bottomless mental pit from which there can be no escape. In unreceptive viewers, there is a danger of synaptic backfire in the brain pan, caused by overheating of the attention gland. This dense packing of brain cells without proper organic coolants, such as FROP, has been blamed for 3 recent cases of spontaneous human combustion. Do not over-medicate. High dosages have so sensitized the third nostril receptors of some viewers that they were unable to stop seeing the tape even after it had been turned off. This tape is to be used only by the person to whom it is prescribed. Do not operate a motor vehicle following viewing. Do not operate heavy farm machinery at speeds over 70 miles an hour. The demons you may see during the initial hallucination sequence are not real. If you do not panic, this phase will end after a few minutes. always resurface from the hypnosis slowly. Coming out of the tape has been likened to a total rebirth process, if managed successfully. If you have trouble re-entering the Earth plane, focus on Bob and chant his name until you remember your own.
Ladies and gentlemen, please keep your seats adjusted. We're having operating difficulties, which has necessitated a delay.
Wake up, puppet boy!
Do not attempt to flip the tape when you reach the end of side 1. No matter what you are told by later instructions on the tape, there is no side 2. However, if you do discover one, don't look at it. If you follow these instructions, you will experience a profound cathartic reaction to the flow of archetypal images and racial memories. You may find yourself laughing and crying convulsively, and even astrally projecting. These are normal. Enjoy them.
Bob?
That's your key phrase. It will trigger the entire message without your being aware of it.
3, 2, and 1. Now to continue with the tape recording.
On top first night, alarmed Santa Fe parents met again with elementary school officials last night to discuss the growing presence of Bob in the schools. Bob, the deity of the Dallas-based Church of the SubGenius, is a comic book character who communicates with aliens and worships money. Parents and teachers complain that the Bob stickers and pamphlets, which have turned up in school lavatories with increasing frequency, encourage troublemakers and weird behavior.
It's not healthy for the children. I'm convinced of this. There has been a pamphlet going around, a Bob pamphlet that I have looked at, and it's the least well-adjusted children really pick up on it. It tells them that if they are uncomfortable with their classmates, it is because they are better than their classmates. Can you imagine this? Better. Not smarter, mind you, but better.
Wise up! They're out to get you. The difference from being silenced by a global conspiracy. Weird men arise. Find out who
They are, and how to smash them. You probably already knew that the U.S. government is a sham, something propped up there for you to blame. But did you know that the real powers that be are not even people? That they are actually shambling, unbelievable, unmentionable, unthinkable things? Yes, Jehovah is
an alien and still threatens this planet. Defy the sinister star forces which mock us all. Evil demons have kept the truth from humanity for thousands of years.
God has been misquoted all this time. His actual words may disturb you, but Bob Dobbs is a bulwark against the unbearable fear and anxiety tormenting mankind.
Repent, quit your job, slack off. The world ends tomorrow and you may die. A 6 million year cycle will end in 1998. Dobbs sees the world entering a new aeon, which, in a few years, will bring more wondrous and miraculous change and carnage, insanity, and destruction than all of mankind's history and prehistory before it. Bob brings a new destiny for America, a time of cataclysmic economic change that will offer untold riches and power to those in the know, while billions of deserving conspiracy dupes fry in hell on Earth. Uncontrolled thinking, controlled by Bob, will usher in a spiritual rebirth and a cascade of astounding mysteries, supernatural riches, and a restoration of lost psychic abilities that will totally transform the lives of those who dare to seek them and pay for them. That's right. You're lucky to live in the end time.
Here's my money, Bob! Now, at last, the step-by-step process is revealed. This is it, the only faith that promises action, thrills, success in sex and business.
Bob is a way of life to millions, yet half of them don't even know it. He's the one true living slack master with the spiritual know-how to help you bash through the locked doorway to financial heaven. He is the one real shortcut to slack.
Now, see another dimension on your TV. Yes, fear the stark fist of removal no longer. Become physically attractive overnight. Attain status, luck, prosperity by blowing them off.
Bob's promise is to widen the scope and nature of abnormal behavior, to explore new ways of going over the edge, and coming right back. Plus, to bring back those who couldn't make it on their own, to help you create the highest possible earnings from the psychodynamics of abnormality, to turn conspiracy-implanted personality disorders around, and channel them into an illusion of creativity that will fool normals and get you sex.
Welcome, potential initiates, and remain with us for the next 30 minutes.
Welcome to Babylon, children. It's great to be here in the belly of the beast tonight. Before we get started with our second LAD Revival, if we could all please bow our heads and have a moment of sacred, traditional noise!
Little realized, even by leading scientists, there are really two races, actually two distinct species of so-called human beings.
If you gaze upon any given street, normally you might never suspect that only some of these people are true humans. Outside appearances offer no clue that among this ordinary-looking crowd, on an ordinary day, a certain number of these people are actually sub-geniuses. We would have to creep inside their heads to know whether this person or that carries the rare sub-genius gene. But once inside those heads, we would discover a vast new universe, a new dimension, coexisting, not always in harmony, alongside the mundane workaday world of the common human. Another world that until now has been forced into hiding. Now at this very moment, the veils of secrecy can be torn aside. We, the persecuted, may now dare to raise our heads high and declare, "Behold us, for we are the sub-geniuses." But what is a sub-genius? How can we, differ so much from the humans, whose nonsensical laws and customs we have been forced to obey? Why have so many of us been kept in ignorance of our true heritage, a heritage that dates back farther than man is thought to have existed? For in the days of Atlantis, we helped to design the humans. Certainly, in retrospect, this now seems to have been our greatest mistake. So, what is the difference? Examine this seemingly docile crowd and know that in some few, simmering beneath a placid surface, there broils a veritable cauldron of repressed sub-genius awareness, ready at any moment to explode outward, often with catastrophic results.
In some classes, we don't even know who the subgenius is.
So the Bob pamphlets aren't really popular?
You know, there did seem to be a fad of sorts at one point. I would say that. Stickers and graffiti were showing up in really strange places like inside pencil sharpeners and so on.
What is all this I hear about this youth cult, this Church of the SubGenius?
Gee, I don't know.
Well, how about you, son?
What?
Well, what about you?
It's about Bob, you know. It's Bob. That's it.
Bob is great.
But just who is this man, Bob? Some call him the Slackmaster, the High Epopt, the Saint of Sales. Others call him liar, pimp, whoremonger, a sleazy con man foisting his dangerous scam off on gullible suckers. Well, dear friend, J.R. Bob Dobbs isn't some outmoded, overused deity from ancient fairy tales, but a living, bleeding deity for today, the divinely appointed messenger of slack, the mystic super salesman upon whose wheeling and dealing skills the fate of the universe hinges.
He can sell you anything, and I bought it.
Bob is the aware man. Bob can hear a fly cough, and he can go up to that fly. He can look that fly in the eye and say, son, I'd like to sell you a big old mound of shit. And I tell you what, that fly will buy that mound of shit from Bob.
Bob's wonderful. I mean, Bob's, you know,
Bob is fill in the blank. Bob is fill in the blank.
The Bob that can be described is not the true Bob. He's a trickster. Obviously, look at his face, and you could just see, you know, what's behind that smile. You know, what's in the pipe that he's smoking, and what is this game that Bob Dobbs represents.
Let me tell you the story of J.R. Bob Dobbs, bred of man in Yeti. He walked with the gods. He wore a silly grin and he smoked a stupid pipe. He fought the conspiracy every day of his life. He whipped the stench of many a man, fathered many children with his mighty glance. He founded the religion in which we all believe, brought us all the slack that everybody needs.
Born to humble parents somewhere in the Midwest, the child Bob experienced a traumatic close encounter with a UFO at the age of 3. Soon thereafter, he began to exhibit strange powers of persuasion. By age 6, he had made his first million, almost by accident. In college, he met and married his first and still his primary wife, Connie, who is now revered by female subgenii as the blessed anti-virgin. With Connie's encouragement, the young Dobbs became a salesman of legendary, almost frightening abilities, known to his peers as the man who could sell anything. He worked his way up to the very top of the conspiracy ladder and might have stayed there. But late one night in 1953, while working on an amateur television of his own design, an event occurred which was to become a milestone on man's mind path to slack. He was suddenly seized up in the spirit by the hand of Jehovah One itself, the cosmic puppeteer of the Old Testament, the wrathful alien space god from some corporate sin galaxy. In this timeless moment, which we call the divine immaculation of the Bob, Dobbs received the first of countless brain-curdling pronouncements which form the sacred prescriptures of the Church. He was shown a vision A world where all humanity was equally wealthy, rich beyond imagining, but without working. This experience, combined with his UFO-given sales magic, led him inevitably into the religion field. He quickly discovered the golden rule embodied in his classic saying, "They'll pay to know what they really think." The true subgenius can learn to think for himself, but only Bob can show him how. And so, Bob Dobbs founded his church upon a sandy beach of common sense, sense of humor, and dollars and cents. A likely story, you say, but it's simple, really. Bob is lucky, not smart. In fact, by the perverted conspiracy standards of intelligence, he is gifted with incredible stupidity. He lives in a perpetual state of contracted consciencelessness. This enables him to act without thinking, to surf effortlessly on the luck plane, to float down the fabled path of least resistance. In fact, to make $1 million every time he screws up. Thus, it is not his wisdom, but his divine follies, his holy blunders, which we emulate. The miracle is not in what Bob does to you, but in what he allows you to do to yourself.
Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, the next one the Church of the SubGenius is, the Church of the SubGenius will help you pull the wool over your own eyes. Now, children, what do we mean by pulling the wool over your own eyes? You see, since you were the day you were born, you have been sold everybody else's wool. You've been sold your school's wool, your church or synagogue's wool, your parents' wool, television's wool, movies' wool. Here in the Church of the SubGenius, we want you to pull your own wool over your eyes and relax in the safety of your own delusions. And when you do that, children, when you do that, in 5 minutes, you'll be so sick of them, you'll do what God wants you to do. You'll scrap those delusions and start thinking for yourself.
He brings the student to the realization that everything you know is true. Under the conspiracy, you're being ripped off every day, but you can learn to enjoy it.
They're always trying to screw you. Well, maybe we ought to choose the way we want to be screwed. Some ways are fun! Big man.
He called his seminars instant instructions for those who follow no master. He journeyed to Tibet, and under ancient holy men, he perfected the arts of landscaping and acute beating. He also began modeling for hundreds of magazine ads, leaving early clues of his presence. These old ads are the only known photos of Dobbs, for he otherwise remains elusive, shunning both the spotlight and the authorities. In 1979, he recruited two randomly selected nobodies, Dr. Philo Drummond and Ivan Stang, to begin a public outreach arm and begin spreading his seed word of slack.
Well, basically, the church is so omnipervasive and so full that we could not possibly get into the dogma in any less than 3 or 4 hours. This will outline everything, clear and concise detail, easy to read, keep it near you, and we promise that any answers that you need will be found in this little handy little pamphlet right here.
$1 for salvation. $1.
Let's look at the word subgenius. It does not simply mean just below a genius. Sub-G intelligence level can range far, far below genius.
Because it ain't the intelligence that counts, it's what you do with it. One idiot inventing one good joke is worth 1,000 scientists making A-bombs, according to Bob.
The subgenius does not pretend to super-knowledge, but to sub-knowledge, knowledge of the under-things, the hollow earth from whose darkness issue the Nazi hell creatures and other demons of the abyss. It is in contemplation of the under-things, the underwear lurking just below the clothing of existence that the subgenii display what genius they have. The study of this substratum, the foundation garment underlying reality, is the subgenius's strength, for it is from this source that he or she taps the infinite resources of a force that is completely incomprehensible to humans, the force of slack.
The first rule of the Church of the SubGenius is the SubGenius must have slack! What must he have? 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 He must have slack.
Now, slack is what the conspiracy wants to take away from us. Slack is what the conspiracy wants to deprive us of. Slack is our way of grabbing life by the lapels and screaming at it.
Slack, what is it? Well, if you have to ask, you will never know. You were born with original slack, an infinite supply of it. But the conspiracy has most of it now. They don't even know what it is, but that hasn't stopped them from stealing it away. How do you think you ended up a slave to their so-called work?
There's the conspiracy has a way of creeping in. And I think most of you know what I mean by the conspiracy. It's what makes you work a 9-to-5 job, a meaningless, in most cases, a sad and meaningless 9-to-5 job. And why? It's where your bread, your food to eat.
You know, you have your brain stem goes down into your spine here, and how the conspiracy puts these new piano wire and ropes and things and pulls it real tight so you can't think and you stay red all the time. The point of the church is to unknot those knots, get the piano wire from around your neck, and make life wonderful.
The conspiracy is a patchwork of different things. Some are nations, some are products, some are hypnotic television shows, some are bad pills. Now there's a distinction. There's good pills and there's bad pills. There's a good Bob and there's a bad Bob, right? Okay. And the conspiracy is the bad Bob, the bad pills, the bad TV shows, and anything that, you know, is keeping you from realizing that you got to get right with Bob.
It's the human condition. It's things falling apart. It's fat ladies in double knit jumpsuits beating their kids in Kroger's.
All of America has a strange idea of just what slack is. They think you can buy it. Actually, slack for 3/4 of the world is a good dinner. But here, it'll be funny, ain't it? Yeah. 3,000 kids starving to death in Mexico City every day. Big joke! Conspiracy, a big joke. Slack, that must be a big joke too. And Bob, it's too good to be true.
True slack is by definition indefinable. It is a kind of direct perception, unfettered by common sense. It is not mere laziness. It is rather a kind of active sloth. Slack in its pure form makes happiness seem like agony by comparison. Next to slack, the nirvana known to mystics and saints is like endless torment. Slack is different for each person. One might call it something for nothing. But the normals, the mediocritans, the somnambulacs, and pseudo-subslans have tried to make it something which we have been led to believe we must work to buy. It is this yearning for slack that separates us from the normals. The human may live out his entire life in a grinding cycle of slacklessness, his hours consumed by meaningless toil, interspersed with meaningless leisure. Yet he never feels cheated. He thinks it is natural. Perhaps we should pity them, but face it, most people are venal jerks, half-witted cattle racing each other to be first to the slaughterhouse and stampeding you along with them.
Death to the anti-Bob and pink creatures who would defame our temple. Death! Death!
I was feeling kind of depressed. I love you, West. And I went over to my friend Rick Maverick's house, and I was kind of down, and I just went in there, and he showed me he had written out "Have a nice day" in the skulls of normals that he had decapitated. And I just said, that's kind of neat.
drop my drawers, even Mother Nature follows.
Within every person, there's some good and there's some bad. And it's a choice. You choose whether you want to love or hate that person. And for myself, I just choose to hate most of them.
The next rule of the Church of the SubGenius is, if you act like a dumb shit, they'll treat you like an equal. That's right, children. That's right, because the conspiracy wants to drown out the unusual. They want to drown out the intelligent, even the intelligence of weirdness. They want you to act like a dumb shit. If you go out there and you act smart, they'll treat you like an inferior. But if you act stupid, children, you're one of them.
It's 20th century traditions. It's the old traditions. It's all the things that got us where we are now. It's Christ without a penis. He's part of the conspiracy. It's presidents that don't look like they're capable of getting erections anymore. That's the conspiracy.
The conspiracy is a real, living, breathing, fiendish entity. It wants you, children. Oh, it wants you bad.
The worst crime that ever was is the easiest to commit. The worst crime is serving the conspiracy.
What good do brains do you today, children? My God, children, how are you going to earn a living if you have to think about what you're actually doing? How are you going to contend with society the way it is if you actually have to think about the issues it confronts you with? How can you stand the pressure the conspiracy grinds you down with if you actually have to think about that pressure? Children, brains are a great detriment to life in the 80s.
Wouldn't you like revenge on these mediocritans, these pink boys, these box-dwelling Barbies and Kens, these normals who have made normality the norm? Pinks are but living stereotypes, insensate meat puppets and food tubes who lack and fear the spark of originality that ignites every SubGenius soul. But the long, senseless march into slacklessness may soon come to an end. Oh, it won't happen without a bitter struggle, but at least there is hope.
For in this, the 20th century, we have seen the coming of a savior, a beacon of slack, a banner behind which we may all unite. It is the coming of J.R. Bob Dobbs and his mighty Church of the SubGenius.
The Church of the SubGenius is probably the single most important organization in the 20th century. Our function is quite literally to save the world. At least make the end of the world happen right.
You'll fry unless you find Bob, and you better find Bob right now.
The people really need to be able to understand things very quickly, and the Church of the SubGenius, I think, confuses them. Confusing, isn't it?
I want to remind you of the great words of J.R. Bob Dobbs. I don't practice what I preach, because I'm not the kind of man I'm preaching to. Thank you, children, thank you.
Is there a typical SubGenius? Of course not. The very thought is a blasphemy. The only thing that most SubGeniuses have in common is that they're all different, and they have nothing in common with the conspiracy of the normals.
By definition, the Church of the SubGenius can't really exist because it's an organization for people who are not joiners.
Eccentrics, unpredictables, true visionaries. Let us observe a few examples using the hidden camera.
It was in the first 30 issues of 9-inch Worm Comics, and I think in 14 issues of 4.5-inch Worm Comics. And
Is this man a subgenius?
15 7-Eleven comics. Those aren't the comics you buy at 7-Eleven. It's the adventures of a 7-Eleven. They have a person that works at 7-Eleven that just writes down everything that happens. They draw them up, and the whole comic is shaped like a big 7-Eleven. It's three-dimensional, and they've got the idea from a flying saucer that was shaped like a 7-Eleven that flew over one night. It was a UFO believed to be
A subgenius, obviously. The speech patterns are unmistakable. And here is another one. And here is another one. And here is another one. But what of this man? All very different, yet all subgeniuses. They share only the quest for slack and the love of their beloved spiritual teacher, the living avatar of slack, J.R. Bob Dobbs.
B-O-B. B-O-B. Bob. B-O-B. Bob, Bob. B-O-B. Bob, 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 Bob. Bob.
I was getting messages in the back of my brain as long ago as about 12 or 13 months. And I just kept hearing the word Bob, Bob, Bob.
Bob is everywhere. Bob is bursting out all over the place.
Just look through any phone book in any city, you get the same thing. Bob's Construction Company, Bob's Martinizing, Bob's Floral.
Bob's Auto Parts, Bob's Automotive Service, Bob's Burgers, Bob's Rent-A-Jalopy. And then down here we've got Bob's Used Furniture Store.
I mean, he's like everybody's dad should be.
Bob is about as American as you can get.
Bob loves you. 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 Bob lo
Besides his own exaggerated human nature and the powers granted him by Jehovah One, Bob also benefits from being the chosen broker on Earth for superior beings from the furthest reaches of known space, the so-called men from Planet X, or Xists, for they are nothing like men. Bob has a covenant with these angelic beings, a cosmic contract, a deal. On July 5th, 1998 at 7 a.m., the Xists shall make a mass landing on this planet. The children of Bob shall be rewarded at this foretold rupture, this day of judgment, when all those who paid their church dues will be lifted up in power and glory to gain new homes and bodies aboard the pleasure saucers of the sex goddesses, all the while watching the hapless pinks twitch and bleat and wail in the death throes of their world. And we faithful shall be transfigured into new enlightened beings, superior mutants called Overmen and Uberwomen who will start a new Jerusalem in the promised land of Dimension X, Asgard, the zone of eternal slack and cytospasmic ooze squirt.
Behold, my servant shall prosper. He that exalted and lifted up on the pipe shall be very high. He who knoweth the fools who prophesy for him shall be made over men. Many will be astonished at him, for his appearance is so marred beyond human semblance that his form is beyond that of the sons of men.
Science does not remove the terror of the gods. We can't do much about those evil gods from the other side of the cosmos who fly through the air and through the nebulous darkness of space. Space, my friends, the infinite inky clouds of nebulae. They fly on their membranous leathery wings, holding in their coiling tentacles shiny steel cylinders, each one containing what was once a human soul, what was once a member of the Church of the SubGenius. But enough of this. You don't want to hear about this.
I must, and yet I cannot.
But I'll tell you what, you'll be wishing it was that kind of alien. At least you'll be wishing, you'll be glad to have them on your side. Because at least a head, at least there's 2 arms and 2 legs. At least that's something you can puke at. Something you can throw up over. Something you can run in fear away from. What if it's something you can't run away from because you can't see and it's everywhere? If they find a world that's inhabited by people who do not have slack, who've forgotten what slack was, if they don't have Bob there to explain humanity to them in ways they can understand, they'll put us out of our misery.
The X's have landed. Earth's under their control. Dobbs' vision stands proven. The city's radioactive holes. We don't know what their game is, but their name is unpronounceable. We don't know what they came for, but what they aim for is impossible.
Monsters likened to men will be around thee all night, and shall make thee to look past the door which should be locked, and thy sciences will terrify thee and bring thee naught but devils, for thy spirit is locked away inside the quiet stir, which my angels shall bring from space.
The Exorcists have landed. Their machines follow in our tracks. Bob's vision stands proven. A world without slack.
But what is the commodity with which Bob will bargain Earth's fate? Some claim it is the souls of his followers. The true SubGenius does not question Bob's wisdom in such matters. We have only our simple faith that heaven will be ours if we only believe. Ironically, his mission will not be to sell Earth, but to prevent Earth being sold and transformed into a kind of Stuckies in space.
Don't forget that Bob has come to, has prophesied the end of the world, July 5th, 1998. Okay? When most Americans will have hangovers, but it's not just for the Americans, it's for everyone in the world.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, right. That is why. Yeah, start smoking, start drinking, and live it up. Start fornicating as if your very life depended on it.
But this plan will succeed only if conditions are just right at the appointed time. Otherwise, dark forces of antiquity will be awakened from their slumber of eons and rise again from Atlantis to rule our world in their sizeless grip. These primordial elementals, the elder gods, have countless demonic and interplanetary minions carrying out their unholy schemes. They even control Bob's own evil twin brother, Dick Dobbs, the unclean one. With all his powers, could Dobbs really be defeated by these beings? Ah, but you must not underestimate the conspiracy. Its weapons are so insidious, even the human conspiracy leaders are unaware of them. The fact that the conspiracy itself is ignorant that it is a conspiracy gives it such control over our minds that the very thought becomes unthinkable.
You cannot think about your own mind. That's part of the problem. You cannot think about your own mind. You cannot wash soap. You cannot see your own eyes. You cannot run from your own legs. You cannot hide from God who's stupid in your yard. You cannot hide from God who's bigger than you. He's bigger than all reality. Who help me somebody? She ain't got no legs, poor lady. My legs are on fire.
The bovinity and temerity of the human mind itself does all the work. The evil ones may just lean back and watch the little humans march gladly, even proudly, to their doom. But we, too, must be vigilant. For, thanks to the false slack bombarding us daily, it is terrifyingly easy for even a subgenius to slip back into normality.
Amida Buddha swore that he would not accept nirvana until every sentient being was enlightened. And in order to do this, it needs an almost infinite number of bodhisattvas. How do you communicate with the fleas, for instance? How do you communicate with the lice? How do you bring enlightenment to an amoeba? It takes a lot of bodhisattvas. And then there's the problem, how the hell do you reach American television viewers? How are you going to get enlightenment to them?
You think amoebas are hard.
We live in a dangerous world. The powers of pinkness are always fighting the powers of slack. Yes, children, they're locked in a death struggle. Sometimes all Brother Pink gets all Brother Slack down. And he's a gasping. And he's a choking. And he's a straining. But then we get some more of that good money. And the forces of Slack fight back.
He's
They
good.
fight back.
Yes.
The forces of Pink down. But children, the final outcome is up to you.
You know what to do. That's the difference between us and the conspiracy. Our counter-conspiracy doesn't tell you what to do. They'll tell you what to do, and all they want is one simple thing. One simple thing. They just want you to give up.
And children, we're drowning in consumer goods. We're drowning in images. We're drowning in noise. We're drowning in everything that conspiracy wants you to drown in so you can't address the real issues of the day. And here in the Church of the SubGenius, we have a name for this sort of drowning. That name is techno-boredom. Yes, children, when you're suffering from techno-boredom, you've got overload.
The images with which the great selling conspiracy monster manipulates you have become so sophisticated that no matter how slick you think you are, you cannot resist.
Now, children, the conspiracy knows that you have a very short attention span because they've been chopping up the narrative stream and all forms of your entertainment so you get one. They want you to have a short attention span so you don't get sick of what you like and they can sell you something new. But children, will that happen with the Church of the SubGenius? Say no. Oh, say no. Say it. Praise Bob, no. Say no. Because children, the Church of the SubGenius defies obsolescence. We will not be pinned down to any one view. We mutate every day. Every new member forms his own church. Every church is inside the head of its member, providing the head of that member has made the arm of that member reach into the wallet of that member and give money to Bob for this. The book out! The SubGenius, newly purchased, newly edited, newly released, and newly published by Simon & Schuster, $9.95 at better bookstores everywhere.
We can't give you all the answers. But we can help you flesh out your fantasy that there are some. At our labs, we use only the finest homemade ingredients. Love, children, God. And the purest blend of money your needs can buy, grown right here by our special process. A process in use since our first mom and pop operation. Who are we? We're the normal people. The most normal people in the world. But not quite as normal as you.
Jordan, look around you.
Testify.
Look at what they've done to the things that you love. They took Elvis Presley. They turned him pink. They made him into a fat monster. People say to us, people worry that the Church of the SubGenius is an anti-American church. A subversive church. Children, we are the first real Americans. We know what America is before they took it away from us and tried to sell it back to us for a profit.
Bob will come and replace all drugs, sex, and money in a paradise of unlimited slack. Slack will be the only medium of exchange, friends, and because you can't buy it. And as long as you can't buy slack, the conspiracy cannot win. $1. $1. Bad. Big bad, Bob.
Basically, two factions out there right now is us and them, and unfortunately them is much, much greater than us. The fortunate thing about it is that we know that them are actually working for us, but them doesn't know that they're working for us.
What do you think will be the next obstacle the Earth people will put in our way?
Well, as long as they can think, we'll have our problem.
We stand at a crossroads. The tenuous slack that a subgenius may occasionally enjoy could be rent to shreds at any moment, for the human puppets of the elder gods continue their senseless plunge into madness and anti-slack, dragging us and our whole beloved planet ever closer to the brink of destruction, be it by the nuclear kiss of Jehovah One, ecological disaster, or invasion by hostile aliens. Which will it be? Destruction of planet Earth, or eternal slack under the benevolent rule of God? Or are the two the same?
This world is destined for destruction. You say it can't be true.
Jesus began to give to them the signs of his coming and the end of the age, and one of the signs he referred to was the abomination of desolation that was spoken of by Daniel the prophet.
Exactly as Noah getting in the ark triggered the deluge that destroyed the earth in his day, and that it's very highly possible that when this all takes place, that a great cataclysmic judgment will do that very thing.
God will destroy this country, cities in America. Cities in this nation literally instantly destroyed.
Well, we've done it.
Gee, I can't wait till that Bob Time train comes around the bend.
Oh, look out, son. Here it comes now. It's frightening, isn't it? It's unbelievably big and scary. It's gut-wrenchingly afraid. We stand to receive thee who are of but flesh and understand not the way of the lead-clad ones.
You think Jesus had it bad? Oh, Jesus had to work a 80-hour week,
yourself up. And you'll be glad to do it at 20% interest. But how are you going to, once you get that left hand in, how are you going to get the right one in? You'll have to pay somebody, but how are you going to get your wallet out of your pocket, eh? Yeah, think about that. But come the Holocaust, and you're crawling out of the rubble, your fingers falling off, your hair blowing off your head in the wind, looking for flashlight batteries. Will you be saying, gosh, if only I'd read that book of the SubGenius a little closer, I'd know what to do at a time like this. I tell you what, your soul will be laid bare to that stark fist, the real stark fist of removal that hovers above you all the time. You'll be naked to Wotan, to Jehovah One, to Ra, and he or it will know whether you ever believed in Bob or not, my friends. Because your belief in Bob, or your lack of it, will be all you had left. You'll know who Big Brother is, dear friends, sooner or later. And you'll know that hell is not some place down below, it's right here on earth. And when the demons try to tell you that, oh, you think it's a satire. You think they're being some kind of stand-up comedian. And someday you'll wake up to your neck in false jobs, false sex, false money, and you'll say, where's Bob? Where's Bob? You mean there really was a conspiracy? You mean I could have had slack and I blew it? I blew it. You mean there really is a Bob? It's going to be up to you. What are you going to let happen to this planet? What are you going to do about it? Bob's going to let you decide what to do about it. Is that what you're going to... Are you just going to sit there? They won't even have to do it. Bob won't even have to see that the end of the world happens properly. It'll happen by accident.
We have witnessed, I want to say, a resurgence, and I think I can say that, of what we call nuclear freeze. And there are a lot of well-meaning people that are involved in this thing, but it is satanic. Now, let me tell you, we talk about Christianity, and Satan is very brilliant at maneuvering the church into a position that is opposed to God.
They're all a bunch of false Jesus out there. They're hard-ass, phony Jesus. And let's face it, Jesus never said we need a nuclear arsenal that can blow anything off the face of the earth. What about the Jesus says, what about the weird Jesus?
And the four-legged Jesus!
But what can you do? Bob is the gun and you are the bullet. The showdown is fast approaching. The church is still unknown, but its infectious doctrines spread across continents. Church headquarters, the first Megafist Temple Lodge, is housed in this Dallas skyscraper, from which Dobbs' secret mandates are issued to his agents in the dreaded Brotherhood of Bob. But this mighty edifice represents but the tip of a wandering rogue iceberg. The words, hymns, and sound effects of Dobbs are disseminated on a weekly basis to thousands of devout radio listeners in most major cities, even as far away as China and darkest Africa.
This show is so populated that we're studying it from all angles, and you can even watch this show on Channel X. As Hal plays the microphone and flies backwards around the other side of the planet.
The SubGeniuses in China have to listen on shortwave radios. Very hard.
You'll notice we've switched to spew age music for the background for this segment of the show.
As the psychic surgery is performed, the doctor's sweaty brow is wiped by a small nuclear explosion.
Woof. All better now. Christians are tuning in for the nice 3 hours coming up.
Yeah, did you ever stop to think that this show just may be a little show inside a larger show?
Wrapped inside
that somehow is inside an even larger show?
Spectacular, lucrative, spirit-filled SubGenius devivals move from town to town like floating crap games, always a few steps ahead of the police.
Here, slack-fired preachers and ranters perform head launchings, pill dispensations, and both healings and sickenings of audience members, depending on their needs. You'll be inspired by the lovely traditional ritual of time control, as seen here.
It's a nice watch. It's an heirloom. All right. Time control.
Dozens of church musical combos called doctor bands after the original Doctors for Bob of Arkansas deprogram entire paying audiences, even while rejecting outmoded notions of rhythm and melody. And until the authorities catch on, even common normals can purchase the Word of Bob itself in condensed form, the legendary Book of the SubGenius, available in bookstores everywhere. But the only certain way to receive the Dobbs teachings in uncut form is to tithe directly to the church. For a suggested love offering of only $20, sent to P.O. Box 140306, Dallas, Texas, you will be ordained as a card-carrying minister and receive the huge official magazine of churchly news and doctrine, The Stark Fist of Removal.
I'd just like to say a few words about the Stark Fist of Removal. This is the official newsletter of the church, and it's got all kinds of great stuff in it. It's got the proof of Bob. It's got a picture of Bob with Ronald Reagan in there. It's got the all-important instructions to the SubGenius.
Illiterates can purchase their choice of dozens of inspirational cassette tapes. And there's even a line of casual SubGenius wear to fit every size or budget. Some purchase thousands of Bob's handy pamphlets with which to recruit the worthy and to perplex the normals, to fill their minds with questions that only Bob can answer through his chosen apostles, his fishers of wallets. And what is money? Merely another tool of the conspiracy, except when it gains power by passing from your pocket to Bob's.
I believe in Bob, and if you have a problem with your cash flow, it's because your cash is not flowing towards Bob.
This is the first industrial church. We're not a tax write-off scam. We are an incorporated profit-making foundation, if there is such a thing. We're prophets, and we want profits.
Children, you've got to come back to the old American way, yes? You've got to come back to quality goods for your dollar, a righteous purchase. And let me ask you something, children. How many of you have been tithing unto Bob that which is truly Bob's? Tell me that, children. How many of you have been giving 10% of your worldly goods to Bob?
I don't care who you are or where you come from. If you haven't sent your $20 into Bob, you're going to burn. Mother Teresa, I don't care how many people she's helped. If she hadn't sent her $20 into jail, Bob Dobbs is going to burn in hell.
And Bob offers a guarantee that can't be beaten. Eternal salvation, or triple your money back.
Everybody, it's time to stand. Put your finger in your Bob gland. Touch your head and touch your knee. I'll kill you if you kill me. Now pull your wallet out of your pants. It's praise Bob, praise Bob.
The feminist dupes of the conspiracy charge that not enough members are women. Bob would agree to that. Indeed, he would say there will never be enough women. But at least the ones we have are all woman. And Bob is all man, the James Bond of Zen masters, the most dashing religious leader of his time.
Bob is a sex god. Bob is a sex god.
Unbelievable, unspeakable, unbearable.
Because Bob doesn't care about your sin. Bob does not give a shit about your sin. Bob Dog came and comes again and again and again to justify your sins, my friend.
The squirting universe, children. Bob is a kind of total all-consuming sex.
Bob is a sex god. From a corporate sin galaxy.
And Bob, you'll be pleased to know that there's no trace of your old VD.
You mean to say that Bob has actually had one of those horrible diseases? That isn't true, Doctor. Is that true, Bob?
Just a minute, Sally. One scandal at a time.
Yes, Bob Dobbs is a sex god. Rather than forgiveness, he offers something far more powerful. An excuse, a divine, all-inclusive excuse which allows the bearer to free himself from the grip of temptation by overindulging in it until it pleases him. The true seeker must give himself up to temptation, or he will never conquer it.
The second rule of the Church of the SubGenius is too much is always better than not enough. Can I get a too much? What is it always better than? That's right, children.
We get you. Even if you looked, you would find a shit.
The sad, weekly self-denial preached by the New Age movement is pure conspiracy pabulum. The true son or daughter of Bob knows that our universe is no laid-back, home-chanting cosmos, but an active, tumultuous, squirting universe bent on rampant reproduction and easy wins. The false cults may try to teach personal transformation, psychic development, human potential, but Bob goes straight for the glands and seeks to amplify the self, to bloat the abnormality potential of his pupils. Only through excess can one contact the lower self, where the real decisions are made. Don't just eat a hamburger, eat the hell out of it.
I am a man, as I said, that would do anything for Bob. What's that say, Bob?
Dang it all.
Bang my head against the floor. Right now, Bob.
He'd kill himself for Bob. Oh,
but
praise
I know
Bob.
I said that, Bob.
He'd
That's
kill
going to
himself.
hurt,
Praise
Bob.
Bob.
Well, I didn't say I wasn't going to do it now, did I, Bob? All I said was that was going to hurt, Bob. I didn't say I was going to do it. I didn't say I was going to do it. Thank you, Bob.
Someone else.
The advanced initiate, once freed from conspiracy programming as well as the worldly goods that enslaved him, makes his pilgrimage to Dobbstown, the church's fabulous walled encampment deep in the jungles of Malaysia. There, the initiate's third nostril is surgically opened by psychic surgeons, allowing him or her to whiff-read the psychic stench of those around him. He masters the sciences of schizophreniatrics and memory editing, creating a clean slate on which Bob may write. The art of excremeditation is taught, whereby the mind is voided upon the great throne of relief.
You don't use your mind to think about your religion.
What is it that truly sets Bob apart from other would-be holy men and self-appointed gurus? Everything. For Bob has always existed. There have always been Bobs. Every epoch of man's history has had its Bob. Most were what we would call good Bobs. Others, well, we needn't dwell on that. The traveling salesman jokes of mythology are based on his early exploits. So many ask, is Bob God? The Slackmaster himself vehemently denies that he is the Messiah. His mission is merely to show us how to live with our sins. And who better? Bob admits he is a sinner. He practically embodies all the failings of mortal men.
He has the power to fail. You'll never find an infallible pope in the Church of the SubGenius. float. But here, we've got to fail to succeed. Bob is a very special kind of religious leader. Bob is a short-duration personal savior. Yes, children, Bob wants you to take him into your heart and into your mind. Bob wants you to take him into your checkbook. But after you take him into those sacred places, Bob wants you to think about him, consider him, and then cast him out. Bob wants you to make your own religion, your own rules.
Short-duration personal saviors, or shore-durper saves. It is foolish and cowardly to cling to any one personal savior. The hectic pace of modern life demands disposable saviors, specific ones, suited to the moment at hand. A sort of while you wait, do-it-yourself religion.
Now, your shore-durper save can be anything from a book you're reading, to a smudge on the corner of a page of that book, to a TV star you're currently enamored of, to a brick that just misses crushing your skull as it falls from the cornice of a rotting building, to the coagulated, dripping neck stump of a decapitated World Cup golfer. And it can last anywhere from a nanosecond to your entire lifetime. And you can have 1 or 10 or millions of shore-durper saves concurrently, consecutively, and simultaneously.
Skeptical reporters were surprised when scientists from the MIT Artificial Intelligence Laboratory corroborated the story.
Short-duration personal saviors. It solves a key problem that kept cropping up in earlier faiths. It turns out it only takes 5 or 6 generations before the memory of a great spiritual leader like Muhammad or Jesus of Nazareth is totally corrupted by the people who are retelling the story, all of whom have their own motives. 5 or 6 generations, that's only 100 years, and up till now, that's been the maximum useful life of a religion. After that, a sexual paranoid like Paul, or a megalomaniac like the Pope, King James, or the Ayatollah take control. At that point, the religion is virtually used up. The mass repression completely outweighs the church's other virtues.
Like a joke that's been told too often. It can only be used for punishment.
But with the short-duration personal saviors, blind faith in an exalted person or object doesn't have to last even 1 generation. It doesn't even have to last an hour.
Exactly. SubGenius church can't be corrupted because it couldn't be more corrupt.
Which makes the crucial difference in long-term performance and maintenance.
Form your own local denomination or clench. Go forth into the world, spreading the seed word. Even humans can be tricked into thinking they are subgeniuses. As Bob once said to L. Ron Hubbard, they may be pink, but their money is green. But there is a danger here. A grave danger in sharing Bob's wisdom with the unworthy, for prophecy tells us that the greatest threat to slack will come from inside the church, from those we sneeringly call the Bobbies.
Those who would make this church just like all the other religions. Yeah, it's frustrating dealing with them, very frustrating, because they never know that I'm talking about them. There's plenty of them here tonight. Bobbies, like Moonies. They wouldn't know true slack if it crawled up their ass in the form of an eagle snake. Not that slack often takes the form of an eagle snake crawling up your ass, but
they'll be trying to sell you Bob Dobbs on a silver platter, my friend. A cleaned up Bob, a fancy Bob, a newfangled Bob. Not quite so spooky and abnormal as he once was. My friend, you'd better fear the day when Bob Dobbs becomes as wholesome as he looks. Because on that day, my friend, your paychecks shall crumble. Your 3-room condos will fall to the ground. You'll be tearing your face in agony, trying to get one last breath of that church air, the one last glimpse of paradise before you get that eternity in hell that they talk to you into buying.
Bob does not desire a monolithic one-world subgenius inquisition. Schisms and interdenominational squabbling are encouraged and frequently forced. Thus, the con can never pin down our true numbers, nor our actual plan.
You know what the anti-Bob wants? The anti-Bob wants to see a planet of Bobs, an entire planet of all-white, all-male salesmen, dumb as hell, selling shit to each other and buying shit from each other. Friends, Many true subgeniuses have trouble getting along with each other. In fact, sometimes they hate each other because they're not all alike. Theoretically, all subgeniuses are equal, but they're certainly not all equally funny.
In the SubGenius church, the only real heresy is orthodoxy. There is a big difference between salvation and salivation.
I run a schism or a hostile division within the church called the First Naked Church of the SubGenius. That's named after me, Buck Naked. That's my name. That is my name, by the way. We are involved always in casting out the false prophets within the church, the namby-pamby, pinkoid, mediocrinins, and pucoid, whatever.
The SubGenius is not a member of any group, any club, any organization. The SubGenius is not even a member of the church itself. I want to make sure you understand that. Because as soon as we start thinking for ourselves, we might come up with something dangerous, something that they don't want us to think. That's why we have all these things that we have to buy, we have to get, we have to be, we have to wear, we have to think, because they don't want us to think at all. They want to keep us busy all the time, working on all these distractions. Because if we ever once think for ourselves, we'll realize that we have always had slack, and we always will have slack, and the only thing they can take away from us is our awareness of slack. They can never really take our true slack. Each and every one of you watching me right now is a god.
Many of you have paid to know what you really think. Now think, goddammit!
When I was in the Kirshner cult, you know, I wanted to get out, but they had my mind, and they wouldn't give it to me.
They must be taught that Bob is not the answer, and neither is anything else.
The next rule of the Church of the SubGenius is, if you can't tell shit from tuna fish, don't order seafood in a French restaurant.
Dobbs doesn't want followers, only their money. And so we must purge our ranks of the unclean, deprogram our own zombies. The methods he advocates are drastic, for he hath commanded, "You shall do as I say, and think for yourself, or kill me."
This is a key rule for dealing with the pink members of the society, the conspiracy that wants to crush you and turn you into a mindless dupe. The or kill me rule elevates every instance of contact, every interface, as we say here on the coast, with the conspiracy into the all-time encounter.
Yes, John, the or kill me rule, the rule that raises the stakes of your dealing with the conspiracy, the rule that lets the conspiracy know that you don't take no mess. For instance, children, I don't know, let's think of an example. Let's say you go into the boss and you want a raise. You say to that boss, "I want a raise, or kill me!" Let's say that Boston policeman has had a very odd moment and he's decided to pull you over for a moving violation. I know it's unheard of, but cast your imagination out there, children. Let's say he does, and he pulls you over and says, "Where's the fire, buddy?" And you say, "The fire's in my heart for Bob," or what? That's right, children!
Now, you might ask, what about the liberals? Do we hate the do-goody, two-shoes liberals? The ones who think they're on our side? Friends, we hate them even more than the conspiracy. Because at least the conspiracy has the guts to try to kill us. What we really hate are wimps who don't try to completely and utterly destroy us.
How's along conveyor belt where
Bob is a conspiracy-duped clone glorp. So probably ought to be offed. He supports the conspiracy. He promotes class division. But other than that, you know, he's a pretty nice guy for a personal savior.
But none could have guessed how literally the words "or kill me" were to be taken until that fateful night of January 22nd, 1984. A night that will live in infamy. For it was in this San Francisco theater that, if we are to believe the photographic evidence, Bob Dobbs was slain by a crazed assassin's bullet. Steel yourself, for the footage you are about to see is not for the faint-hearted.
Oh, Bob will be here tonight. Bob will be here. And I'm scared.
Can you be ready for Bob? Bob! I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure all of you know by now that just a few moments ago, the supreme epoch of the Church of SubGenius, J.R. Bob Dobbs, was felled by a crazed, lone nut assassin. Felled in the prime of his life. His pipe, Bob's pipe, is broken. Could it be that the reign of Bob on earth is ended? Could it be that Bob has lived in vain? Could it be that the blood on this pipe spin has been shed for nothing?
He was the greatest salesman the world had ever seen. He could sell the farts after he ate all the beans. He could sell a pile of shit to a common fly. All of us who knew him figured he would never die. Bob Dobbs, Bob Dobbs. He was a real man and brave. Bob Dobbs, Bob Dobbs is lying dead in his grave.
The killer? He was none other than D. Woodman Atwell, better known as Puzzling Evidence, a man Bob had regarded as one of his most trusted disciples.
Didn't you see the show? Didn't you see the show where Puzzling Evidence shot Bob Dobbs? I mean, both of those people were there on stage.
And a big grin on its face.
Did have a flair for theatrical
smoked a pipe, and it was shooting Bob Dobbs over and over again.
And what kind of liquor was it drinking?
How about the Me Show? And
yeah, that's good.
Began to use crystals for
I'm the only guy
nuclear
on the show.
energy.
This is the Me Show.
This is the beginning of the end.
No, I killed Philo. And Sterno dragged behind the boat.
But so many questions remain unanswered. Some investigators insist that Puzzling Evidence was but a dupe, a patsy, a fall guy for a concealed cadre of trained gunmen. Clumsy attempts at a cover-up have only served to inflame the issue.
A crazed lone nut, now even given the finding of the Hinkey Commission.
The Hinkey Commission, that bunch of frauds, those fools, jackanapes, apes.
You know Senator Ed Hinkey?
Why, yes, as a matter of fact, he's a personal friend of mine. I
and his
used
wife,
to go
Helen,
water skiing with his beautiful wife, Debbie.
Yes, Helen. Helen.
On that black day, the church was left reeling in shock from this blow. Without the guidance of Bob, the church is an empty mockery.
The church after Bob is strangely and sickeningly similar to early Christianity. A nobody rises up from the population, glows as a beacon for the mutants and abnormals, and then he's suddenly killed by one of his own followers. And then, oh, the herd instinct takes over.
But many wonder, is Bob really dead? Can he die? Was the whole murder an elaborate ruse staged by Dobbs himself, in which an unwitting decoy look-alike was sacrificed so that Bob could continue waging the good fight in secrecy?
Children, the answer is simple, because J.R. Bob Dobbs, not entirely unlike Paul McCartney, is alive. Now then, children, if Bob sent one of his many android doubles here, if Bob was elsewhere, if the android double was shot, then Bob must be alive, children. He must be alive. And that's why I say to you, children, to close the first part of my sermon, if your Bob is dead, try mine.
Oh, but it was so easy for you to believe that Bob Dobbs was shot and killed on January 21st, 1984 in San Francisco. It was so fucking easy to convince you that Bob was dead. Oh, Bob's dead. Oh, he'll come back, though. That's the fakest goddamn thing I ever saw in my life. You fucking fell for it. How could Bob Dobbs be dead?
Whenever there is a breeze in the trees, whenever there is baby pouting on the babies behind, whenever the waves break over the tops of skyscrapers, Bob will be there.
Now, Bob, since his alleged assassination, he's not, you can't depend, you can't know for sure that Bob is still in that machine gumming up those works. And that means that he wants you to pick up where he left off.
Will you be the last Bob, or will you surrender to hopelessness? Remember, this might just be his way of testing you.
This church has become overrun by the faithless. Yes, those who cannot believe that J.R. Bob Dobbs could take 4 bullets through the head and come back fighting.
Actually, these choices were already made for you at the beginning of time. So, do it. Join the church and gaze upon your own naked destiny, standing proud before Bob.
Sign up. Lease your soul to the church for safekeeping until it is needed in the great bargaining session on Judgment Day.
With unquestioning faith in Bob's word, the end of the world can easily become your personal stepping stone to prosperity and a new beginning for us all.
You shall have fun. You shall be rich, rich in limitless sex hurt, limitless sales, pills and albums. Keep that hate burning. Keep it burning, friends. Repent, quit your job, slack off, do whatever you can do to keep it from grinding you down. Because they will. It's so easy. It's so easy to slip back into normalcy. Oh, he'll be back all right, dear friends. Bob Dobbs will be back, and maybe this time you'll know just who he is.
And I can see why the religious oppose them. As Thomas Jefferson said, I have sworn upon the altar of God eternal hostility to every form of tyranny over the mind of man. That is why the clergy oppose me. That's not, all that is on the Jefferson Monument in Washington, except the last sentence. They left that out in the interest of brevity.
The conspiracy has 50,000 nuclear weapons. The Church of the SubGenius only has 3. And yet, we dare to fight them anyway. We'll take them on, and that's the miracle.
So let us march onward, harvesting the souls of the infidel, heedless of blood spilled or money spent. For in this nameless mission, our destinies are written.
The floor through the church off of the SubGenius is, fuck them if they can't take a joke.
And you know, hate is what most religions are really all about. We're just the only ones that will come out and admit it.
Yesterday, the Church of the SubGenius was only a few brave fools tugging at the shoelaces of the Colossus. Today, it has already become the Zorro of world religions, scratching a bloody bee on the bloated buttocks of the conspiracy.
This whole thing, this whole SubGenius church, is just so crazy that it just might work. Because it's always been the crazy people, the mutants, the kooks, so to speak, who were dumb enough to stand up against the Colossus. So, get ready. Shut up, big boy. Bob is coming, dear friends. Bob is coming. He's always coming. Ask any of his wives. But he'd best
also hate on that level, it will burn away the hate. It'll burn away the fire. It'll burn away the radiation. And for all you know, if Bob Dobbs is who he says he is, he may already be world overlord.
Bob will protect you. Bob is protecting the genetic future. Let him into your life. Let Bob protect you. He wants to protect you. He must protect you. He has to protect you. Jehovah One says Bob will protect you if you send $1 to Post Office Box 140306, Dallas, Texas 75214. $1 for salvation. $1.
In a sense, Bob Dobbs can never die. He represents more than just a man with a pipe and a know-it-all grin. He represents the quest of all mutants for freedom. In talking to most subgeniuses today, you'll find an unshakable faith that their high epoch will rise again. But this time, he will come not as gentle teacher and salesman, but as an avenging angel, meting out the wrath of Jehovah One upon the guilty and the innocent alike, cleansing the earth with the divine radioactive, all-scouring, all-purifying annihilation of his boundless love.
That's what they call the Church of the SubGenius a joke. It could be the greatest joke ever told. If Earth can make it to the punchline.
And when you become a subgenius, you'll realize that everybody else is wrong and you're right.
Knowing that most people would pay to know what they really think. America, wake up. We've got the answers here.
You know, everybody kind of wants to be in a cult in their own way. And Bob starts out as a joke, and then you realize Bob's for real.
Now that you've seen what you've seen, will you be with us in the saucers on X Day? Or instead will you be left crawling through the glowing rubble, a doubter to the end? In the sweet name of Bob, you must be saved, even if it kills you.
We can only drink and say Bob is mine.
You will emerge from trance on the tone, remembering everything except your instructions for the Omega contingency plan.
We realized that if Jim Jones could talk 900 people into killing themselves, we could talk 900 people into sending us $1.
He makes the money, I spend it.
My friend, you have seen this incident based on sworn testimony. Can you prove that it didn't happen?
Welcome to the end times, boys and girls. We're gonna shock the house, put your friend in the world. Bob is getting down with you here tonight. Bob is getting down to help your plight. Bob is coming here to ease your strife. Come on, suckers, let Bob into your life.
Well, I'm MC Cleve, I'm the master of rap. I've been talking like my motherfucking lips got the clap. Y'all sitting around saying, oh, woe is me. Well, I'm here to tell you, it ain't worth peas. The end times is here. Yo, pretty bad laugh. Time to make a pay for the fuck-ups of the past. The world is gonna have to go through a rebirth, and that means paying the spaceship Earth. Exist will come from planet X to remove from us the paint for his hex. In the meantime, we will have our say. Get slack and fornicate every day. Knock the conspiracy on his ass. Make your life a fucking gas. Take your joke right to the hip. Make the normal suckers flip. Take the time to rape their minds. Tell them to blow it out their behinds. Take all their money, get what you're worth, and continue to spurt till the rebirth. Dog! He dog! Dog! He dog! Dog! He dog! Dog! He dog! Well, I'm Reverend Cleve, the bastard son of Blowfly, Dr. Rudy Ray Moore, and while Mr. Dolomite, I ain't the Naz, but I know what's what. Babe, I like the shape and size and contour of your butt, so come on over here and give up the gas. Whip some skull on me, bitch, or give me all of your cash. Return, you won't have to worry about your soul, cause when the exes come, you'll be right on my pole. To Dobstown, Malaysia, we will go, when you drink the Kool-Aid and go ho, ho, ho.
You'll be filled with enough out to blow your top. You just wanna keep fucking and never stop.
Now, I might be lying there with an ice pack on my nuts, or maybe out chasing some other fine fucks. But at least you won't have to wait on machinery, and you'll be free from the fucking conspiracy.
You can watch us fry up in your face while we make our way to outer space.
And while you're wishing upon a star, you probably lose me in some interstellar bar. Ha, 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 ha.
Come on, Cleve, that's your 17th bottle of Nightshade tonight. Let's go home now before you pass out right here on the street.
Woman, I can drink more wine and stay sober than all the heathen Hindus in Asia.
Yeah, I heard that before. Get your popsicle sticks and let's get your damn dead dick home.
Damn, hope there's something good on TV.
Bob trusts you and knows how to keep your trust, for he is your only source of his mighty pills and the beloved herb of immortality, Habafropzipulops, or Frop. Unlike conspiracy drugs such as alcohol and TV, the Frop mixture, combined with the pills, fill the holes left by brain cells you destroyed.
Children, how would you like to experience instant histogenetic psyche regeneration and crucial moments in your life, just like this? I'd like to take a little survey tonight. How many real drug addicts do we have here in the audience tonight? Yeah, just as I suspected. Well, children, Bob can help you kick those cheap conspiracy street drugs and get you higher cheaper. When you take the pills that Bob gives you, your path to enlightenment is guaranteed. How would you like to smoke a little of what's in Bob's pipe, huh? Well, being an ordained minister in the Church of the SubGenius enables you to be on the waiting list for vast shipments of the legal immortality herb Habafropzipulops, or Frop for short. Now, this mind-altering drug, which grows only by moonlight on the graves and droppings of dead Tibetan holy men and full-blooded yetis, will do it for you.
Bob makes the best pills ever was made? Yeah.
Yeah, pills. Yeah.
You get them pills, and you feel wise. Your heart feels wise. You're blind, and you know that you're the only one, and the rest of them are wrong, and you're the only one that's right. And that's how you're supposed to feel, because you got the pills of Bob in you. Because Bob knows just the exact nanosecond when you're going to take that pill.
Time for that moment, well, one of those moments that you've been waiting for. We promised you pills, and we're going to give you pills.
This is Habit for Officers, if you like, Steve. And
I don't like this stuff.
It is free. We have to smoke it. It's one of the rules.
We're talking about a barrel of Habifron, right?
We're talking about a void, a limitless void of Habifron.
Right. We're talking about several alternate realities full of Bob pills. Girlfriend said he's going to strip him naked if he didn't take those pills.
You could say that. You could say that.
You could say it, but I mean,
I'm not going to say
Odin wouldn't mind.
I mean, you could say you could say that. You could.
You're floating in a sea of pills, only you're too deaf, dumb, and blind to see it. We're not talking about Tylenol. Hell, Jesus took Tylenol.
What's in these pills is the essence of Bob Dobbs himself. It's the same thing that's inside Bob's head. These are the pills of Bob, the pills of slack, the pills of revolution.
I cram coca leaves right into my arm veins. I'm a screamer. I'm a laugher. I've got 6 brains. I'm insured for acts of God and Satan. I bleed my lizard and keep time waiting. I'm fuel injected. I'll live forever. I ran him out of heaven with a Niki lever. Now, children, I used to say that marijuana was the marijuana of the 60s, and real estate was the marijuana of the 70s, and I used to say that gossip was the marijuana of the 80s, but now I think, children, the marijuana of the late 80s and early 90s will be advertising. You'll be addicted to it. It'll cost you a fortune, and it'll make you stupid. Let's address these drugs of the 60s. Marijuana, children. Marijuana. When was the last time any of you saw any real marijuana? Furthermore, in the 60s, as I recall, marijuana cost $15 an ounce, not $225. And when people come up to the Pope of New York and they say, Dave! They say, real Dave! They say, part of the Red Pacific Northwest Dave! Would you like some marijuana? I say to them, no thank you. I can get depressed and paranoid for free. So I don't think we don't need marijuana in the 80s. Let's recall another drug, children. Psychedelics, children. Psychedelics. Your LSD, your peyote, your mescaline. Only have one thing to say about psychedelics. Real life is sufficiently hallucinatory in the 80s. I mean, children, anytime something happens to you and you can't believe it's happening, just flap your arms like wings, and if you fly, you're on psychedelics, and if you're not, you're in the 80s. Cocaine, children, I mean, cocaine was not a big 60s drug, but cocaine, bus drivers are addicted to cocaine. Athletes are addicted to cocaine. I mean, the great philosopher Hunter S. Thompson said all you need to say about cocaine. Someone asked him about the drug culture, and he said, there's no more drug culture, it's just a big, dirty business.
When I finally found out that I really wasn't going to heaven, I decided, why not have a pill chainsaw festival? Because I'm not abiding by the rules in my perimeter. So what we did was we cleared out a big park. We killed all the animals with chainsaws, but they were already dead anyway from the chemical tests from the CIA Gabrogan experiments. So that's what we did. We decided to cut down a whole bunch of pills and plant some chainsaws. Get down there and then just kind of play some music. So, and welcome to Doc Stock.
Wow,
they had those 7-Eleven, those things that had 7-Elevens for heads. Then they had the octopus squid toenail manifestations growing out where his dick was used to have to be. But when they had the Safeway head toe zone level ears connected onto the 7-Eleven shaped comic book, that was when they finally had to get a new artist for the thing, because he just said he couldn't draw a Safeway shaped 7-Eleven head toe zone connected over to the 3rd issue of Batman Comics. He could have connected it over the 5th issue of Batman Comics if you had brought a 7-Eleven that was shaped like a Batman comic instead of a toe that had 14 fingernails. I mean, but how could he ever clip his fingernails if he couldn't get it? He didn't have any hands, so that was the problem. He couldn't pick it up because there's nothing to grab it with. They just had these hooks that crawled out like this, and they had, instead of arms, just these ropes that would, you know, pull him up mountains, but only at night when he had his dimmers on. He couldn't press his dimmers when they had the 9-inch worm dicks. They had a room full of them. I said, I've got the 9-inch worm dicks, you've got the remagnetized torpedo heads, well, let's have a party. What
A perfect stool, Gary. Very nice. There you go, Bill. Take that stool down and send it. I'm going to go sit on it.
Doctor, are you prepared to operate?
I'm prepared to operate right now.
I notice you're drinking.
Yes.
And your hands have not been washed at all.
Well,
and you're going in there to operate.
Psychic doctor. What, see me lay my hand on that Jeep and it start?
My God!
I am a
I
psychic
think we got
doctor,
that one.
and I have no need of that. I merely reach into their body with these hands. Take a look at these hands. Yes, I'm ready. And it's an imported beer bottle that I am using to drink sacred frop water out of. This is water that has been peed by the holy men who...
Drake's guru pee.
It's guru pee. It's guru pee. They pee it out to relieve us of the necessity of having to go through the terrible, terrible hallucinations that the impurities cause in this guru pee. And by drinking it first and then passing it on to us and peeing it into these little green bottles.
From which we pass it on to the followers.
From which we pass it on to the SubGenius, yes indeed.
For swindling them pills. Thank you, Bob, for finding me with teenage girls. Yes, sir. I'll follow you all the way. That's right, Bob. Until that next day.
But there is one thing even more powerful than the beloved pills and frop of Bob, for he has entrusted his chosen disciples, the doctors for Bob, with the safekeeping and the cataclysmic launching of a power object, a secret weapon, compared to which thermonuclear weapons and even the Ark of the Covenant are but mere pea-shooters. This ancient talisman is every SubGenius's guarantee that triumph shall be ours, for it is nothing less than the bleeding head of Arnold Palmer.
Arnold Palmer is a clone, children, a fake reproduction of this head.
Deification of the injured heads of imaginary decapitated World Cup golfers, alienating though it may be at first glance, tends to serve as a worthwhile, albeit unwholesome outlet for the wrathful pent-up energies of otherwise complacent doctors for Bob.
It's not just the pussing torso of Arnold Palmer, it is the bleeding head of Arnold Palmer. Woo, help me somebody, pull the lever down. You can't stand up on a stage and launch a Trevino head. That doesn't make any sense.
Down, children, down! Before the head!
You're getting deities mixed up again. There's Arnold Jesus and the little Jesus and the Dobbs Palmer.
For this head was deiting its ass when the one true God was still messing his britches.
Though some people may maintain that the head is filled with plastic medical tubing and pumping fake theater blood through that damn thing.
That's just a theory,
and
though.
it's
That's
coagulating.
not,
It's not true. Other people that might claim that it's the bleeding torso that demands recognition, that's not true either.
Right.
We maintain that it is the head.
Using the ritual magic forward,
Every solar equinox, when the planets are in alignment, the mighty head is launched according to strict ritual before cheering multitudes of pilgrims. And the peace that the head shall bring is true peace, and the ushering in of the new era of endless intoxicating revelry and total carnal satiation.
Set you free. Pleading out of Arnold Palmer.
Whatever our puny claims to knowledge and sophistication, Bob and his unfathomable mysteries serve only to remind us that science does not remove the terror of the gods.
That idea of yours, Dr. Morley, about exploring the inside of the Earth. You know, I'd like to try that, just for the kicks.
I'm sure you wouldn't find it very exciting.
Oh, I don't know. Gentlemen, I came here tonight with a proposition. I have some money of my own. I would like to finance your project.
1,000 miles inside the Earth, just to satisfy a whim?
Gentlemen, you act as if the fate of humanity hung upon you granting me this whim.
Entitled, How to Avoid Being Financially Exploited by Others.
I met a 15-year-old high school student. Oh, she had heard all about communism and getting high, but she hadn't heard a damn thing about Jesus. She hadn't heard a damn thing about bleeding head Arnold Palmer, Bob, broke brand time control.
Bob lets you keep your mind.
I wanted to get out, but they had my mind, and they wouldn't give it to me. Can I have my mind? Well, we'll maybe keep the right hemisphere and let you have the left hemisphere. Christianity, maybe they'll have you let you have a frontal lobe, maybe your medulla gland. But Bob, and doctors for Bob, lets you keep the entire mind all the way down to the base of the spinal cord. Now, sure, they might want a couple of these little links in your spinal cord, but they do let you keep more of your mind. But Trevino, man, I've got a grudge against Trevino, man. I mean, people consider him to be a golfer. I've even heard people, fucking Satanists, trying to say that Trevino is a better golfer than Arnold Palmer. And I just feel the secular Trevino conspiracy, which is infected like some kind of viral cancer, malignant, maggot, mold-encrusted disease on our public school system.
With hair and teeth like a twin.
Secular Trevino is trying to say there is no bleeding head of Arnold Palmer.
Verifications. We've been experimenting with representing human-like belief systems in software. Of all the religious models we've tried, the Church of the SubGenius is the only one that didn't cause the computer to crash immediately or seize up in internal contradiction.
So? Essentially, the Church of the SubGenius is the first religion that a computer is not embarrassed to believe in.
Don't let the fact that Bob is a white man fool you. His church truly spans the globe and embraces all races, creeds, and several sexes, some undiscovered.
The SubGenius race is the master race because it comes in all colors, all sexes, all shapes. And there's 3 sexes, by the way. You know.
Bob is a rock. Bob is a tree. Come on, sing along. Bob is you and Bob is me. For the deaf people, please look to a stage right. Bob is rich. Bob is poor. Bob is a window and Bob is a door.
We've got to release the power of abnormality that is in so many of us.
The subgenius enlarges himself. Can everyone just give me one me? Me! When everyone's ego has become as God's, there'll be no more need for a hierarchical structure. There'll be no need for a conspiracy oppression. You just have to say, enlarge me. And there are other chants such as, hate me. Oh, hate me, Dobbs. Fill me with an even greater and ever-growing, all-consuming hate of all that is normal. Hate me.
Bob is merely an enema for a constipated society. These people here are here to help a constipated society blow it out their ass.
Really, it can't be explained in words. We feel that bodily worship is the main mode of God intercourse. So,
how do you worship Bob?
Like I was saying, bodily worship, which would be something like.
Driving 16 hours, think of Bob. When you use your mutant powers, think of Bob. When your blood is low in sugar, when you're picking out a bugger, when you shoot him with a Luger, think of Bob. When you're outside exercising, think of Bob. When you're using sex devices, think of Bob. When you're walking through the woods, when you make off with the goods, when you beat up to the hoods, think of Bob.
You cannot run from your own legs. There's not a man or woman in here tonight who can run from their own legs. Is there what you're using to run from them with, or how you gonna run from your leg? You gotta run from your leg. You cannot hide from this man, J.R. Bob Dobbs. You cannot hide from God, because he's bigger than you. He's bigger than all infinity. He's bigger than the universe. Oh, help me, somebody. She ain't got no legs. My legs are on fire. You cannot see your own eyes. What are you gonna do? Turn them inside out?
Oh, what the hell was...
Dang won't discuss income, but he says his church won't hide behind tax-exempt status either, which is why he calls it the world's first industrial church. The book sells for $10, memberships for $20. The church urges members to study the literature closely, to keep it by the toilet and memorize it. The church leaders say this is the chance to get in on the ground floor of a huge, lucrative cult, now while rates are low. Put on or good business. Judge for yourself.
The conspiracy media, unable to ignore the church, has attempted to discredit it as a mere joke, a pathetic satire. The reason? Slack is simply beyond their emotional grasp.
After I join Janer on stage and the heckling becomes a merging of forces.
Sterno and Janer will sort of segue into the headline. They do the head launching. The ark containing the head will be brought out.
Right up to the opening of tonight's service, elaborate preparations, all in the name of the psychodynamics of abnormality.
Okay, I'm Reverend Sterno Dox. I front one of the official heretical offshoots of the Church of the SubGenius, the bleeding head of the World Cup Golfer Launchers Society. And we encourage schismatics to join up and schism immediately.
And so, to the stirring sounds of the left coast zombie chorale, tonight's religious experience was underway. A capacity crowd exhorted to always remember that the world is a turkey and that Bob gives you the carving knife.
About half the people here will have a great time. The rest of them will probably run for the exits.
Don't go in, Jim. It's the most horrible thing I've
I've ever seen in my life.
There's no stopping the mob as it spreads from town to town. Mob hysteria sweeps one city. Before long, the nation, and then the world could lean threat of the mob.
Now there's some people, and some of the more conservative members of the Arkansas community, for some reason, don't get into our Doctors for Bob performances, our SubGenius performances we try to visit. I don't understand why. If there was some kind of legal dispute, some woman lost her legs or something, I don't know what it was about. But the police officer came up to me and says, what the hell you boys think you're doing? I said, why, we're just bold surrealists, sir. Bold surrealists. Bold surrealists. Son, you know how many men we got locked up in the state penitentiary who just love to claim they're nothing but bold surrealists?
Children, you know, a few months ago, the Whole Earth Quarterly came out with an article about the Church of the